Basketball talk like you've never heard before. It's time for the most exciting basketball podcast, starring NBA great Damon Jones and Jake from Jake's Takes. Get ready for Ballin Out with Jake and Damon.
Welcome to Ballin Out. I'm Jake, and I want to introduce my co-host, NBA great Damon Jones. What's up, Damon?
What's going on, Jake? Good to hear from you, buddy. Got a lot of thoughts on what's going on in the NBA. Let's get to it.
Yeah, ooh, Damon, hold up. Before we begin, I gotta mention that last week I was in Miami chilling at my friend Daniel's house. Shout out to Daniel. And in walks Damon. It was so awesome. And by the way, Damon, I gotta give you credit. You did beat me in a horse game. I will not deny it. Good job, my friend. Good job. We got a lot of NBA news to discuss, like you just said. So let me just remind our listeners what our podcast, Ballin Out, is all about. Damon and I have teamed up to bring you NBA insight, entertainment, and inside info you won't find elsewhere. My co-host Damon is an NBA champion, winning the title with the great LeBron James and the Cavs in 2016. He was a lethal three-point shooter in the NBA. And I am 11-year-old Jake, host of the Jake's Take Sports podcast. So get ready, because together, Damon and I are ballin' out.
We're going to start today's show by looking around the league for some of the NBA headlines and stories to discuss. So let's start balling out by taking a tour around the NBA.
Number one.
Let's start with the devastating news the Denver Nuggets just received with the significant injury to star guard Jamal Murray. In a game against the Warriors earlier this week, Jamal was planning to go up for a layup, but ended up tearing his ACL. It was an unfortunate and devastating incident for everyone watching the game. Since the Aaron Gordon trade, the Nuggets were really starting to roll and were one of the best teams in basketball. Can Denver still compete with teams like Utah, the Lakers, and the Clippers without one of the best players in the league? That's the task the Nuggets are up against. So what do you think, Damon?
It's going to be tough for them, Jake. They went all in at the trade deadline, acquiring Aaron Gordon, thinking he was that missing piece to get those guys over the hump and into the Western Conference Finals again, like last year in the bubble. It's going to be tough without having Jamal Murray, a guy who provides leadership out on the basketball floor, scores the basketball, assists the basketball, and all the things that he does for that basketball team. It's going to be very, very tough for them to get back to the Western Conference this year. Jokic, as good as he's playing, you still need that guard up top to be effective.
I'm right with you, Damon. And you know, Jamal's legit one of my favorite players in the NBA. Even before he put on a show in the bubble. I just always loved his game. This one just stings personally. Get well soon, Jamal. Get well soon.
Number two.
Now turning our attention to the West. The Phoenix Suns are second in the Western Conference. You know why, Damon? 2 words. Chris Paul. Last year without him, they were 10th in the West. What if CP3 never came to this team? Do you really think that they could have been close to this level?
I don't think so, Jake. I think you said it very, very gracefully, very good. Chris Paul, this guy has transformed this team to a championship contender now. They're second in the West. They're only a game and a half back from the Utah Jazz in the number 1 spot in the Western Conference and the best record in the NBA. His leadership is, man, I can't even put into words what he means to that franchise. And to see him playing well because he's a good friend of mine, I really love seeing him.
Damon, let's get serious now. Can you think of a player more deserving of the MVP award? Who's made their team better than him? I know you're going to say Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, but stats aren't everything. Leadership and character to give a team the chemistry they need to win. Now that is an MVP. You agree?
I definitely agree, Jake. And I think Chris Paul has a chance. He's a dark horse to be MVP this year. But I think they have to get to the number one seed and the best record in the NBA for him to do so.
Well, I'm not sure that won't happen because they are rolling.
At number 3.
And finally, let's stay in the West and take a look at the Golden State Warriors. Currently, the Warriors sit 10th place in the Western Conference, shaping up to take part in the play-in tournament. Steph's doing his part, but this team is just far from the dynasty they've been in past years. Can't help but think what would the team be if Klay Thompson was healthy and in the lineup? Is this team still built to win a championship when healthy?
Yes, they are, Jake. They still have the three-headed monster when they're healthy. Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. Just think about it. They're in 10th place right now, set to be in the play-in tournament. If they had a healthy Klay Thompson, I think they would be in the middle of the pack, maybe 5th in the Western Conference right now. Can they still win a championship? We don't know. Maybe they add a piece here or a piece there. But I tell you one thing, with those three guys still on the roster and them being healthy, they are a problem in the Western Conference.
I know, they're their big three, but the Warriors they seem to play better when they're without Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins. I know they're big names and everything, but the role players the Warriors used to have were just so integral to their championships. They just don't have those role players anymore. You agree, Damon?
I definitely agree. You're always going to miss a veteran like Andre Iguodala. Those guys, you can't replace that veteran leadership, good in the locker room, and when they get on the floor, they're going to produce. So you're right, Jake. They have to build around those three and bring in some veteran talent.
Okay, Damon. For the first time ever, we're going to give our listeners a chance to weigh in. Ballin Out is going to open up to the phone lines and take our first caller. Let's welcome NBA fan Morty from New York City. What's up, Morty?
Hey, Jake. Hey, Damon. Gotta tell you guys, I love listening to the show. Thanks for having me on. I've been watching the Toronto Raptors lately, and since the trade deadline, Gary Trent Jr. there has been crushing it. You guys must have seen him drop 44 the other night versus the Cavs. What do you think his ceiling could be?
Well, Morty, I'm going to say this. Gary Trent Jr., he is a problem, and he's going to be good for a lot of years. It just depends on what the Toronto Raptors are going to do with it. Now, you have Fred VanVleet, who's their top guard going forward. Will they sign Kyle Lowry back? It's hard to have three small guards in the backcourt. If the Toronto Raptors gives him a chance, he'll be an all-star in the next 3 to 4 years.
Damon, that's a little bit far-fetched. You know, Morty, I actually think that Gary's ceiling is very high. But when he was with Portland, he didn't get any, opportunity because he was playing with Lillard and McCollum. Now that he came to Toronto, he can be the guy. I didn't realize he was 20, but not an all-star in the next 4 years. Come on, Damon, let's get back to earth. I don't know if you know this, Morty, but Gary Trent Jr. is a career 40% shooter from downtown. As long as he continues to get the shots, which in Toronto he should, look out for big things. Morty, let me ask you, what team do you follow?
I'm a Knicks fan. No, the Knicks, we got it all this year. We were developing for a bunch of years. Now we got some young guys. We got Emmanuel quickly. We got some veteran presence with Derrick Rose. We're all the way. We're ready.
Damon, what do you think about the Knicks?
I think the Knicks are pretty good, but Morty, I have to tell you, your vision for this basketball team, I think you're blinded right now that you're from New York City. So they're doing good, but I don't think they're going to be what you think they're going to be.
Yeah, I agree with
Damon,
that.
before you guys move on, can I ask one more question, Damon?
Yes, Morty, go ahead.
The Lakers without Kuzma, AD, and LeBron put a beating on the Nets. You don't think the Knicks can do it?
I don't know. I can't say that. All I know is that, the New York Knicks have been down for so many years. And yes, I love Tom Thibodeau and what he's doing. I love what Leon Rose is doing in the front office. But I think it's going to take a little bit more time and maybe one more star player before the Knicks turn back to relevancy.
All right, Morty. Wishing you all the best, and thanks for the call.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Right now on Ballin Out, it's time for our spotlight feature on one player in the NBA who's getting noticed and standing out with his exceptional play. It's time for Watching You. Wow, Russell Westbrook. Russ is already known as being a triple-double machine. But what he's done lately is just gone unnoticed. In 9 of Russ's last 11 games, he's grabbed 14 or more rebounds. This to go with 13 assists per game in the same stretch. He's going 14 and 14 almost every night. He even led the Wizards to a W over the Jazz a couple of nights ago. Their first loss at home since the second home game of the entire season. Russ's 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 14 assists against the Jazz. Damon, I know stats like this aren't sustainable, but you gotta give some credit to the man.
I love the Brody. I can say his name over and over again. Brody. What he's doing for that Washington Wizards team, he did it in OKC. He did it when he was healthy with the Houston Rockets. I'm telling you, I'm a fan of this guy, and he does great things every single night he steps on the floor.
It's crazy. This guy is ridiculous. Everyone loves a good old-fashioned, passionate debate. So now I'm balling out. It's time to duke it out.
In the 2019 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans decided to take Zion Williamson with the number 1 pick out of Duke over Jamal Murray. Hey, Damon and Jake, if you were the New Orleans Pelicans, who would you have taken?
Well, Jake, I'm going to say Zion Williamson because the box office attraction that this guy is going to bring down to New Orleans, it's definitely going to fill those seats. You have to think he came out his first year, he was kind of injured, and he didn't play a full season. But now David Griffin has done a great job in bringing in a great coach like Stan Van Gundy. And what I know about Stan Van Gundy, because he was my coach with the Miami Heat, he's always going to get the best out of all of his players. So Zion Williamson is going to be on an uprise from this point forward.
In my opinion, there are a few differences between Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. Number 1 being, Ja's a leader. Zion is not. Brandon Ingram is the Pelicans' leader. And then the second reason being that winning. Last year, as a rookie, Ja Morant led his team to the play-in game, and I'm not saying like the 10 seed or anything like that it is this year. I'm saying tied for the 8th seed. This year, the Grizzlies are on pace to make the playoffs. The Pelicans, they're not even on pace to make the play-in game, and that's the number 10 seed. I'm sorry to tell you, Damon, but there's absolutely no way I pick a loser over a natural-born winner. Come on, Damon. What do you think?
Well, I'm just saying, Jake, you asked me who I would take, and I would take Zion Williamson because I believe the sky is the limit for this kid. You saw him in college. He's a box office draw. And like I said, with Stan Van Gundy, now what he's done late in this season is put the ball in Zion Williamson's hand, and he's able to make plays for himself and make plays for others. So I like Zion Williamson going forward, Jake.
Okay, I can respect that. Get ready, because I'm balling out. We're going to take advantage of having Damon Jones as my co-host. Being a former NBA player, he's connected with tons of players. Damon, you got the inside info we all don't have access to. So now it's time for, Hey Damon, tell us the truth. After the 2016 season, Kevin Durant bolted from the OKC Thunder to sign with the Warriors. Everyone remembers how angry some of the OKC Thunder players were with Durant's departure. No one was more vocal than Russell Westbrook. Did Russell Westbrook really hate Kevin Durant for being a snake and leaving the OKC Thunder for the Golden State Warriors?
He didn't hate him, Jake. Hate is a strong word. I think when you share a locker room, a court with a player, as long as those two guys did, I think you're going to be brothers for life. Now, was he disappointed? Was he angry? Very upset? Yes, he was. Because you are trying to get to the top of the mountaintop every year. And what Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook did in OKC, they counted on one another. And when Kevin Durant left OKC to go to the Golden State Warriors, Russell Westbrook felt that he had turned his back on him and went for greener pastures. So, no, he didn't hate him, Jake, but he was very upset and really, really mad about the move that Kevin Durant made.
Damon, let me ask you. Is this like similar to when LeBron left the Cavs for the first time?
No, it's not the same because LeBron James had carried that franchise for 7 to 8 years and had very, very little help. Totally different between what LeBron did and what Kevin Durant did. Because if you think about it, Kevin Durant had other all-stars, other impact players on that team, and he left to join two future Hall of Famers in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. So it's totally different between what Kevin Durant did and what LeBron James did.
I understand. Well, this has been an awesome episode of Ballin Out. We covered lots of topics around the NBA. Wishing you all a fabulous week, and see you next time on, say it with me, Damon.
Ball.